Jake Morrison adjusted his blue uniform and walked into the big round room. The Galactic Council chamber was huge, with seats going up in circles like a stadium. Hundreds of alien beings sat in those seats, all looking down at him. Some had tentacles instead of arms, and others looked like walking rocks or giant insects. Few glowed with strange lights. Jake had been the human ambassador for 5 years now. He knew this room well. He knew the aliens well too. But today felt different. Today felt dangerous. At the top of the room sat Prime Counselor Vextel. The alien looked like a giant crystal that could walk and talk. Light moved through his body in angry red patterns. That was never a good sign. Ambassador Morrison, Vexel's voice echoed through the chamber. It sounded like breaking glass. Please take your position. Jake walked to the small platform in the center of the room. All around him, alien eyes watched. Some aliens whispered to each other in languages that hurt human ears. Others just stared. The humans had been part of this council for 50 years. They joined when Earth first learned about other worlds with life. Back then, humans were excited to meet aliens. They wanted to learn and help, and be part of something bigger, and humans had helped. A lot when the Zilonian homeworld got hit by a space rock. Human ships brought food and medicine. When pirates attacked trade routes near the spiral arm, human warships hunted them down. When the blue plague spread through 6 star systems, human doctors found the cure. Humans built half the space stations in Council territory. Human engineers designed the defense systems that protected the core worlds. Human scientists shared every discovery they made. But lately, things had changed. The Council started making new rules about humans. They said human colonies were growing too fast. They said human technology was too dangerous. They said humans asked too many questions and made too many demands. Jake remembered the meetings where other species complained about human aggression. They pointed to human military ships and said humans were planning to take over. They ignored the fact that those same ships had saved alien worlds dozens of times. The Council has reached a decision, Vextel announced. The crystal alien's voice filled the chamber. Recent events have shown that certain species require better guidance. Jake felt his stomach drop. He knew what was coming. Counselor Drakmoon stood up. The alien looked like a gray lizard wearing fancy robes. The human expansion must be controlled, he said. Human colonies spread too quickly across space. This creates instability. Another alien spoke up. This one had blue skin and... For arms, human military forces are too large. They patrol areas without Council permission. This threatens galactic peace. More voices joined in. Species after species listed complaints about humans. They talked about human ships being too advanced. They're worried about human colonies becoming too independent. They feared human technology being shared with non-Council worlds. Jake listened to it all. He had heard these complaints before, but never all at once like this. Never with such anger in their voices. Therefore, Vextel continued, the Council proposes new guidelines for human activities. The word guidelines made Jake's jaw clench. In Council speak, guidelines meant orders. First, all human colonies beyond the inner systems must accept Council oversight. Council representatives will monitor all activities and approve all major decisions. Jake's hands became fists. Colonies were built by human sweat and blood. Humans had spent years turning dead rocks into living worlds, and now the Council wanted to control them. Second, human military forces must be reduced by 80%. Remaining ships will operate only under Council command. This was worse than Jake had expected. The human fleet protected not just human worlds, but dozens of alien systems too. Who would do that job if human ships were taken away? Third, all human technology development must be approved by Council science committees before implementation. This includes military, civilian, and research technologies. Jake almost laughed at this one. Human scientists had made more breakthroughs in the last 10 years than the rest of the Council combined. And now aliens who could barely understand human technology wanted to control it. These measures are necessary for galactic stability, Vextel said. The lights in his crystal body pulsed brighter. Human expansion threatens the natural order. Human independence undermines council authority. These problems must be corrected. Around the chamber, alien heads nodded in agreement. The Zolonians, who humans had saved from starvation. The Morphic Collective, who used human-designed computers in every city. The Trade Federation, who made fortunes shipping goods on human-protected routes. All of them agreed that humans needed to be controlled. Only the Novak stayed quiet. The tentacled aliens had worked closely with humans for decades. They looked uncomfortable, but they did not speak against the proposal. Ambassador Morrison, Vextal's attention turned to Jake. Does humanity accept these new guidelines? Jake stood silent for a long moment. He thought about all the human colonies that had been built with no help from anyone. He thought about human ships patrolling dangerous space to keep trade routes safe. He thought about human doctors and engineers and scientists working day and night to solve problems across the galaxy, and he thought about the aliens sitting around him. Aliens who had taken all that help for granted. Aliens who now wanted to put chains on the people who had helped them most. I need to discuss this with Earth, Jake said finally. I request a 48-hour recess. Vextal's crystal form flared with annoyance. This is not a negotiation, Ambassador. This is a council decision. You need only to confirm human compliance. Then I definitely need to talk to Earth, Jake replied. Angry murmurs filled the chamber. Some aliens shouted that humans could not delay council decisions. Others demanded immediate acceptance of the new rules, but Jake was already walking toward the exit. As he left, he heard Drakmoon talking to another counselor. Let them discuss it, the lizard alien said with a laugh. Humans have no choice. They need our trade routes. They need our protection treaties. They need our resources. Where else would they go? Jake stopped at the chamber door and looked back one more time. He saw hundreds of alien faces staring at him with smug satisfaction. They really believed they had humans trapped. They thought humans could not survive without the council. Jake smiled. It was not a happy smile. The aliens had no idea what they had just done. They thought they were controlling humanity. But Jake knew better. They had just made the biggest mistake in galactic history. They had given humans a reason to leave. And once humans made up their minds about something, nothing in the universe could change them. Jake Morrison stood in the communication room on the council station. The walls were covered with screens showing Earth. President Lisa Carter sat at her desk in the White House. Around her were the most important people in human government. Admiral Ben Hughes wore his Navy uniform with 5 gold stars. His face was hard like stone. Director Kate Phillips from Colonial Affairs looked tired but angry. Secretary of Defense Ryan Walsh kept tapping his fingers on the table. Tell us again exactly what they said, President Carter asked. Jake repeated every word from the council. Meeting, he told them about the 80% military reduction. He explained the colonial oversight demands. He described how aliens wanted to control all human technology. When Jake finished talking, the room stayed quiet for a long time. Admiral Hughes spoke first. They want us to cut our fleet to almost nothing. That would leave our outer colonies defenseless. Put council overseers on every human world, Kate Phillips added. They would control what we build, what we grow, even how many children we can have. President Carter looked at each person on the screen. Options. Could negotiate, suggested Walsh. Maybe agree to some restrictions, but not all of them. No, Admiral Hughes said firmly. You cannot negotiate with people who think you are. They're property. They made their position clear. They want us to surrender or else, Kate Phillips nodded. Our colonies have been asking for more independence anyway. Most of them can survive on their own now. We designed them that way. What about trade, Walsh asked. The council controls most shipping routes. Human ships move 60% of all galactic cargo, Admiral Hughes replied. We also protect 80% of the major trade lanes. Without us, their trade network collapses. President Carter was quiet for another minute. Then she looked directly at Jake through the screen. Ambassador Morrison, you have served humanity well for 5 years. And now I need you to deliver one final message to the council. Jake straightened his shoulders. Yes, Madam President. Tell them we are done. 48 hours later, Jake walked back into the council chamber. The aliens were waiting for him. Some looked confident. Others seemed nervous. Vextel's crystal body glowed with satisfied light. Ambassador Morrison, the Prime Counselor, announced, "Has humanity accepted the new guidelines?" Jake stepped up to the speaking platform, pulled out a piece of paper from his jacket. The paper had an official seal from Earth. "I have a message from President Carter and the United Earth government," Jake said. His voice was calm and clear. The chamber became completely quiet. Even the aliens who had been whispering stopped talking. Jake looked around the room at all the alien faces. Then he read from the paper. "The United Terran Federation formally withdraws from the Galactic Council, effective immediately." For a moment, nobody moved. Nobody spoke. The silence was so complete that Jake could hear the air recycling systems in the walls. Then the chamber exploded. Aliens jumped up from their seats. Some screamed in their own languages. Others made angry gestures with tentacles or claws. The noise was deafening. Vextel's crystal body flared bright red. "You cannot simply leave," he shouted over the chaos. "Your species requires counsel. Protection. You need our trade agreements. You need our technology exchanges." "Hey!" Jake folded the paper and put it back in his jacket. "We require nothing from the council. This is impossible." Counselor Drac_Moon stood up. His gray scales were turning darker with anger. "Humans cannot survive alone. Your colonies will starve without our supply lines." "We will manage," Jake replied. "Your military will crumble without our support fleets," another alien shouted. Jake shrugged. "We will manage." More aliens started yelling. They talked about trade, contracts, and defense treaties. They mentioned joint research projects and shared space stations. They acted like humans owed them everything. But Jake was not listening anymore. He was reading the rest of his message. "All human personnel will evacuate council facilities within 72 hours, he announced. "All joint ventures are hereby terminated. All human-developed technologies currently shared with council members are recalled." This made the aliens even angrier. Blue-skinned alien with 4 arms waved them frantically. "You cannot take back technology once shared. It belongs to everyone." "Check the contracts," Jake said. "Okay, all technology agreements included human ownership clauses. We can revoke access at any time." Vex_Thule tried to regain control. "This is madness." With that on up upon refund with red refer neck up Robin operating a reckon recata carry bread the member when was some I swear seven You will be attacked by pirates, invaded by hostile empires, destroyed by forces you cannot handle alone. Jake smiled. It was the same smile he had given when leaving the chamber 2 days ago. "We appreciate your concern," he said, "but humans have been handling hostile forces for a long time, usually while protecting council members at the same time." He turned to leave, but Drac_Moon called out again. "You think you can survive without us? Your colonies depend on our food shipments. Your research stations need our scientists. Your defense grid requires our power sources." Jake stopped walking and looked back. "Actually, Counselor, I think you have that backwards." Then he left the chamber. As Jake walked through the council station corridors, he saw human workers already packing their equipment. Captain Helen Brady was leading a team of human engineers removing security systems from the station's main computer.
Ow!
"Is it going, Captain?" Jake asked. Almost done, sir, she replied. Turns out we designed most of these systems. Without human maintenance codes, they will shut down in about 6 hours. In the medical bay, Dr. Peter Stone was collecting human medical equipment. The aliens are asking me to leave treatment protocols, he told Jake. I explained that all our medical technology has human-only access codes. Jake nodded. Good. What about the research labs? Dr. Jennifer Lee is handling that. She says the aliens can keep the lab equipment, but all the data storage systems are human-designed. Without our access codes, they are just expensive boxes. As Jake reached his quarters, his communication system lit up with messages from all across the galaxy. Human captains were reporting in from dozens of star systems, Captain Mike Torres from the Outer Rim, withdrawing from patrol duties as ordered. The aliens here are panicking. Commander Sarah Bell from the trade routes, ending escort missions. Merchant ships are asking who will protect them now. Colonel Frank Davis from the research station at Kepler 442, evacuating all human personnel. The alien scientists do not know how to operate any of the equipment. Jake sat down at his desk and started writing his final report as ambassador. Through his window, he could see human ships leaving the council station. Transport vessels carried human families and workers. Military ships provided escort. In a few hours, there would be no humans left in council space. Jake thought about the aliens back in the chamber. They probably still believed this was a bluff. They thought humans would come crawling back within a week. Begging to rejoin the council, they had no idea what they had just lost. The galaxy was about to learn that humans did not need permission to succeed. They just needed to be left alone. 6 months had passed since the humans left. Prime Counselor Vextel sat in his crystal tower, overlooking the council station. The lights in his body pulsed with worry instead of anger now. Through his window, he could see broken ships floating. In space, the council emergency meeting had been going for 3 hours. Every alien representative looked tired and scared. The reports kept getting worse. Counselor Drakmoon stood at the speaking platform. His gray scales looked dull and faded. The plague has spread to 12 more worlds, he announced. Without human medical technology, we cannot stop it. The blue plague had started small. Just a few sick people on a mining world near the Outer Rim. Before humans left, such problems were handled quickly. Human doctors would arrive with their advanced medical ships. They would study the disease and create a cure within days. But now there were no human doctors to call. The council's own medical teams tried to help, but they did not understand human-designed medical equipment. Most of the advanced healing machines had shut down when humans left. They required human access codes that nobody else knew. How many dead? Asked a tentacled alien from the Novak delegation. Over 2 million so far, Drakmoon replied. The number grows every day. Vexel's crystal body flickered with dark colors. 2 million dead in 6 months? Before humans left, the council had not lost 2 million people to disease in 50 years. What about the trade routes? Vexel asked. An insect-like alien with green shells clicked its mandibles nervously. Pirate attacks have increased by 400%. Without human patrol ships, the criminals do whatever they want. This was another disaster the council had not expected. Human ships had protected the major shipping lanes for decades. They hunted pirates with ruthless efficiency. Most criminals were too scared to attack any ship that might have human escorts nearby. Now, the pirates knew there were no human ships coming. They attacked merchant vessels every day. 3 major trade routes had been abandoned completely because they were too dangerous. We have lost 60% of our trade income, the insect alien continued. Many worlds can no longer afford to import food and medicine. An elephant-like alien with gray skin raised his trunk. The mining operations are worse. The Kelton asteroid belt has stopped all production. Vextel knew about the asteroid belt. It had been one of the richest mining areas in council space. The rocks there contained rare metals needed for spaceship construction. What happened? Vexel asked, though he suspected the answer. The mining equipment was all human-designed, the elephant alien explained. When humans left, They took their engineers with them. Our people do not know how to operate the machines. We tried to figure it out ourselves, but we caused 3 major explosions. The belt is too dangerous now. More reports followed. Each one was worse than the last. The defense systems protecting the core worlds were failing. Human engineers had built them with regular maintenance requirements. Without humans to repair them, the systems were shutting down one by one. The space stations that controlled traffic between star systems were having problems. Human computers had managed the complex calculations needed to guide thousands of ships safely. Now ships were crashing into each other because the alien computers could not handle the load. Worst of all were the reports about the Galactic Emergency Response Corps. This was supposed to be the Council's disaster relief organization. When earthquakes or space storms hit member worlds, the Corps would send help immediately. But the Corps had been led by human officers for 30 years. Human ships carried the emergency supplies. Human doctors treated the injured. Human engineers rebuilt damaged cities. Now, when disasters struck, the Corps took weeks to respond instead of hours. Their alien doctors could not treat many injuries that human doctors handled easily. Their alien engineers did not know how to rebuild cities using modern construction methods. Last month, Space Storm hit the Zolonian homeworld, the same planet that humans had saved from an asteroid 50 years ago. The storm knocked out power across 3 continents. In the old days, human emergency teams would have restored power within 2 days. Instead, the Corps took 2 weeks just to arrive. They spent another month trying to fix the power grid. They failed. Large parts of the planet were still dark and cold. How many Zolonians died from the cold? Vexel asked. 800,000 came the quiet reply. The chamber fell silent. The Zolonians had been among the loudest voices demanding human restrictions. Now their own people were dying because humans were no longer there to help. But the worst news came from the intelligence reports about human space. Our scouts report that human colonies are thriving, announced a tall alien with purple skin. They have discovered 3 new star systems with rich mineral deposits. Their population has grown by 15%. Their technology appears to be advancing faster than ever. This was what terrified the Council most. They had expected human colonies to struggle without Council support. They thought humans would come crawling back within months, desperate for help. Instead, humans seemed to be doing better than ever. Without Council oversight, human scientists were making breakthroughs at incredible speed. Without Council restrictions, human colonies were expanding into areas that had been forbidden before. Without Council demands, human ships were exploring regions of space that the Council had never even mapped. There are reports, the purple alien continued, that humans have developed new types of engines that are 50% faster than anything we have seen. They have also created new weapons, systems, and defensive shields. Vexel felt his crystal body grow cold. Humans had always been innovative, but Council rules had limited what they could research. Now those limits were gone. Humans were advancing so quickly that they might soon have technology far superior to anything in Council space.
What about contact?
Vexel asked. Have any Council members tried to negotiate with humans? Several worlds have sent messages. The purple alien replied, the human response is always the same. They're willing to discuss trade and cooperation with individual worlds, but only as equals. They refuse to acknowledge Council authority over these negotiations. This was another blow to Council pride. For centuries, the Council had controlled all major diplomatic contact between member species. No world was supposed to make independent deals with outside powers. But now Council members were so desperate, they were secretly trying to negotiate with humans on their own. And humans were treating each world as a separate government, not as parts of the Council. Collective. Some worlds were already making independent trade deals with human colonies. They exchanged raw materials for human medical supplies and technology. These deals were incredibly profitable for both sides. But they ignored Council trade regulations completely. Vexel knew that the Council's authority was crumbling. Members were starting to make their own decisions instead of following Council commands. Some were even considering leaving the Council entirely to join human-led alliances. The meeting ended with no solutions. Every alien representative returned to their quarters feeling helpless and afraid, as Vextel sat alone in his tower. He thought about the decision they had made 6 months ago. They had believed humans needed the Council to survive. They had thought humans would be grateful to accept Council control. Now the galaxy was falling apart. Humans were stronger than ever. The aliens had made the biggest mistake in galactic history, had set humanity free. 2 years had passed since humanity left the Council. The galaxy was burning. Prime Counselor Vexthel stood in what remained of the Council chamber. Half the seats were empty now. Many species had either been destroyed or had fled to distant star systems. The great crystal dome above his head was cracked from recent attacks. Through the broken windows, he could see Hegemony Empire warships patrolling outside the station. The black ships looked like giant daggers floating in space. Red lights pulsed along their hulls like angry eyes. The Hegemony had been quiet for decades. They lived in the dark regions beyond the galaxy's edge. Everyone knew they were dangerous, but they had never dared to attack Council space before. Human military power had kept them afraid. Now the humans were gone, and the Hegemony saw weakness. Port Vexel commanded. Counselor Drakmoon stood up slowly. The gray lizard looked much older than 2 years ago. His scales were dull, and several were missing. The Hegemony has taken 14 more star systems this month, he said. They now control the entire northern spiral arm. The numbers were devastating. In 2 years, the Hegemony had conquered over 200 worlds. Council forces had tried to stop them, but without human tactics and technology, every battle was a disaster. The Hegemony used weapons that Council scientists did not understand. They had shields that deflected most Council attacks, as their ships were faster and deadlier than anything the Council could build. What about our own forces? Svexel asked. An insect-like alien with broken antennae replied. We have lost 70% of our fleet. Most of our military bases have been destroyed or abandoned. The remaining ships are scattered across 50 systems with no central command. Before humans left, the Council military had been strong and organized. Human officers had trained alien crews. Human engineers had designed the weapons and ships. Human strategists had planned the defense of Council space. Now the military was a broken mess. Alien officers could not coordinate complex battles. Their ships kept breaking down because nobody knew how to maintain human-designed engines. Their strategies were predictable and outdated. The Zolonian home world fell yesterday, Drakmoon continued. The Hegemony enslaved the entire population. Over 3 billion people. Vextel's crystal body flickered with grief. The Zolonians had been founding members of the Council. They'd been so proud when they demanded restrictions on human power. Now their world was ash, and their people were slaves. What about requests for help? Vextel asked, though he already knew the answer. We have sent 47 messages to Earth in the past year, replied a tentacled alien from the Novak delegation. The human response is always the same. Vextel knew the response by heart. President Lisa Carter had sent the same message every time. The United Terran Federation wishes the Galactic Council well in their endeavors. We have no interest in resuming membership or providing assistance. The humans had made their position clear. They would not help the Council that had tried to enslave them. They would not save aliens who had treated them like dangerous animals that needed to be controlled. Meanwhile, reports about human space painted a very different picture. Our scouts report that Hegemony forces completely avoid human territory, the Novak alien continued. They have not attacked a single human world. This was the most frightening news of all. The Hegemony was destroying Council civilizations with ease, but they would not even enter human space. That meant humans had become so powerful that even the Hegemony was afraid of them. Human colonies were thriving while the galaxy burned around. Them, human trade ships moved freely through space that was too dangerous for anyone else. Human technology had advanced so far that Council scientists could not even understand the reports they received. There are rumors, the Novak alien said quietly, that humans have developed weapons that can destroy entire fleets with single shots. The rumors say they have defensive shields that make their worlds impossible to attack. Vextel did not know if the rumors were true, but he believed them. Humans had always been innovative. Without council restrictions, they had probably created technologies that seemed like magic. We could surrender to the hegemony, suggested a small furry alien. With big ears, maybe they would let some of us live as slaves. No, Vextel said firmly. We still have one option left. The chamber fell silent. Every alien knew what he meant, but nobody wanted to say it out loud. Could ask humans to save us, Vextel continued. It's not as members of the council, but as independent allies. Could offer them anything they want in exchange for protection. Drakmoon laughed bitterly. What could we possibly offer them? They have better technology than us. They have more resources than us. They have stronger military forces than us. What do humans need from aliens who tried to enslave them? Here's a good question. What could the council offer to a species that no longer needed them for anything? We could offer them our worlds, suggested the furry alien. Humans could rule us directly. It would be better than being hegemony slaves. You think humans want to rule aliens? Drakmoon asked. They left the council because they did not want to deal with us at all? Why would they want the responsibility of protecting people who betrayed them? Vextel knew Drak_Moon was right. Humans had not left to become galactic rulers. They had left to be free from alien politics and alien demands. Asking them to save the council would be asking them to give up that freedom. But Vex_Thul was desperate. In a few months, the hegemony would reach the core worlds. The council would be completely destroyed. Billions more people would die or become slaves. Send one final message to Earth, Vex_Thul ordered. Make it clear that we are not asking them to rejoin the council. We are asking them to help as independent allies. We will accept any terms they demand. The message was sent through quantum relay. It reached Earth in minutes. The council waited for hours, then days, then weeks for a response. When the answer finally came, it was not from President Carter or any government official. It came from Jake Morrison, the former ambassador, who had delivered humanity's withdrawal notice. 2 years ago, his message was brief. The United Terran Federation is open to bilateral relations with any world that approaches us as equals. Individual planets or species may request assistance through proper diplomatic channels. The Council as an organization no longer exists in human records. Vex_Thul read the message 3 times before he understood its meaning. Humans would help. Individual worlds that asked politely. They would treat alien species as equals and partners. But they would never again acknowledge the Council's authority over anyone. The organization that had tried to control humanity was dead in human eyes. Any aliens who wanted human help would have to abandon the Council and approach humans as independent people. It was the final insult. Humans were offering to save alien worlds, but only if those worlds admitted that the Council had been wrong. Only if they gave up the organization that had once tried to enslave humanity. Some council members were already preparing to leave. The Novak had announced they would formally withdraw and request human protection. Several other species were considering the same choice. The council was falling apart from within as much as from hegemony attacks. Vex_Thul looked around the broken chamber one last time. In a few days he would probably be dead. The hegemony would arrive and destroy the station. The Galactic Council would end in fire and screaming, but somewhere in human space, former council members would be living safely under human protection. They would be free and prosperous and grateful for human kindness. The humans had won completely. It's not through conquest or violence, but through simple independence. They had walked away from people who did not appreciate them, and now those same people were begging for help. It was Vex_Thul realized exactly what humans deserved.